I'll ask Reverend Towers to give us a invocation.
The board at Metroplex.
As soon as Don and Charles get through talking, let's talk to God. Father, thank you for a loving, graceful day, for friends, for people responsible for administration, leadership, and teaching. Thank you for this institution, for the history that is established in this community, and for the lives that are being changed day by day. Thank you for the time we have together today to do your work. I pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I'll ask Trustee Pierce to lead us in the pledge of the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please follow me in honoring the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I'll pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Like all.
Welcome to the board workshop for the Central Texas College District on the 16th of November, 2021. This meeting is being recorded and made available to the public upon request, and then members of the public may access the meeting as follows, and that's with the Central Texas College website. Item number 2 is an opportunity for members of the public to suggest additional topics for discussion or to address topics of interest, with a presentation limited to 3 minutes. Is anyone present like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to the item number 3, which is Chancellor's update. Mr. Anopoulos.
I really don't have anything. I would like to acknowledge that my trustee assistant has returned. Debbie,
Goodness.
glad she's back. I have nothing else, sir.
Okay. Item number 4 is the Kinesiology Department update. Ms. Mapes.
I believe Dr. Adie is going to introduce Ms. Mapes.
Yes, good afternoon. We have 2 department chairs here to give you updates from their areas. The first one is Coach Marilyn Mapes, and she is the department chair for kinesiology, and she's followed by Ms. Tammy Samaripa, who will give updates about our health sciences department.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
That's what it sounded like in the gym for far too long,
Amen.
okay? Way too long. I'm so happy, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so happy now that we have students back and there's noise in the gym. Even if it sounds like bickering, it's noise in the gym. Okay, as you can see, as far as our enrollment trends go, we took that dip in 2020, but since then we've kind of brought it back up again. So I will say that the students that we have, the programs that we've had, we've had some more programs that we've offered online to include activity classes, and that has probably really helped us throughout this time, because otherwise, if it had to be face-to-face, you know, people wouldn't have, we wouldn't have had the students. But now we're slowly trying to incorporate blended classes where they can come in sometime and then also have some online time. We mostly did that so that we would have, be able to alternate when students were coming in, because in the very beginning, we didn't want, you know, a whole gym full of people breathing on each other and what have you. So we were really trying to do it to try to stay safe and keep everybody comfortable, okay? We do offer the CPR and the basic life support certifications. Coach Shaler teaches that. He's very good with his first aid. He's very knowledgeable. As I mentioned, we're fully online. You know, we do have a lot of students, obviously, who are interested in kinesiology who don't want to be online. They want to be face-to-face because that's kind of who we are. We like to be active and we like to play and we like to work out, and a lot of people need that, you know, that support to be in a group situation. So we're happy to start having people back in the gym again. Here's one of the examples of how we changed our classes from, you know, being fully face-to-face to going virtual. This is Coach Willis. She does an outstanding job. She's our little Energizer bunny. She has more energy than I think should be legal, but anyway. So this is kind of an example of her teaching in class as opposed to her setting up the station in her garage and going online and doing virtual in her garage. I can't even tell you the hours that she has spent in her online courses to make them engaging and to keep her students feeling like she cares and she's actually there with them and involved in what they're doing. And Coach Shaler has done the same with he teaches more lecture classes, but he does the same. He wants to get those students involved and make sure that they know that we're right there with them the whole time. And if they need us for anything, not to hesitate. But this is definitely a change here from a class full of students to just trying to do it, by yourself and feeling like you're involved with everybody. We have also worked really hard to make sure that people feel safe. We changed the cleaning process a little bit just to make sure that everything stayed sanitized and clean. And again, we want people to feel comfortable to come in and use our facility. That's the main thing, that we want people there, okay? And we want them to feel comfortable being there. I can't even express how excited I am to have students back again. The first day that I had my basketball class, I almost cried because it was just nice to see students, and they were happy to be there too. I mean, it was the same kind of breath of fresh air for them as well. So that's what we're doing to keep those numbers going and keep those students coming in. Any questions?
I'd like to thank you, Coach Mapes, for all the work that you and your faculty and the other coaches did. Who would have thought that 10 years ago you could teach kinesiology online,
Right.
So,
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anyone have any questions to Ms. Mapes?
I don't have a question, but I'd like to compliment her and thank her for expressing how excited she is to have the student. We know that everybody here at CTC gives their all to the students, but it's great to hear you say that. Thank you very much.
Well, we missed them. We really missed them.
And we thank you for your dedication.
Yeah, thank you. All right, have a good afternoon.
Next item on our agenda is
Oh, we
the
got-
Health
sir.
Science Department update.
Sir, we
Ms.
got-
Samaripa.
oh, okay, sorry.
Well, hello, and good afternoon. Thank
Hello.
you for the opportunity to be here to share. So I am here to give you an update on the Department of Health Sciences. We, unlike kinesiology, we didn't have quiet hallways. We actually stayed in session, and we had a little bit of challenges with smaller groups, but we still kept our students throughout the semester and through the labs and through the clinicals and just in smaller groups, but we still had busy hallways. And so we had the fortune of being able to keep our students just in smaller groups. And so we survived all of that and are back in session and are happy to be there. So the Department of Health Sciences at this time now has 11 healthcare program options for students. And so I was going to share a little bit for each program. The first one is the paramedicine program, which encompasses the EMT and the paramedic. These are our enrollments from 2020 to 2021. As you can see, we did have a little bit lower enrollment last year. One thing we did find that through COVID, our health science programs seem to have increased in interest. And I feel that it did help us in the aspect that it brought light to the importance of healthcare and how significant it is in all realms, from mental health all the way through nursing. And so most of our programs saw an increase in enrollment over the past year, as others unfortunately saw a decrease. And so on this one, our EMT paramedic program, we saw an increase from one year to the next. In both, in the paramedic program, the EMT went down just a little bit, but the paramedic shot up a little bit. The mental health programs, so those joined the Department of Health Sciences this fall of 2021, and so they are new to the health science department. They came with 3 programs, and these are their 3 programs. And so they saw a decrease in enrollment. We aren't sure why. We really shouldn't blame it on COVID because it is an online-based program, so we're not sure where that is. However, some of our programs this year we've noticed, for example, community health worker, those enrollments have significantly increased, and so we're hoping that trend for mental health will be continuing to increase. Our ADN and VN programs, our licensed vocational nurse program, we saw a little bit of an increase, and then with the ADN, we saw a little bit of a decrease. Partly is because we had to limit our enrollment. We could not take in as many students as we had hoped, keeping in mind that there's faculty that we have to consider, and then the space. Back in 2020, we had to consider with the ones that were coming in, we could not take 55 students in. We had to decrease that. And so some of that was just our limitations and not that it wasn't student interest. We also did a change in uniform this past year, and so you may have noticed that they went from maroon uniforms to gray and white. It brought them up to this century because our older uniforms were patches. These are more embroidered, and what was happening was the students were going to clinical, and it was just they looked like they were in older uniforms, and so we wanted them to look fresh and current and in the times, and embroidery is the thing now, so they are now embroidered and they look fantastic. And so you can see them there in the slide with their new uniforms, and they love it. So, so that's a change in the nursing. So if you see our students in maroon, they're still ours. And if you see them in gray, they're still ours too. Just depends on what semester they're in. That 4th semester kept the uniforms so they wouldn't have to buy new uniforms. And then the lab sciences, we have 3 programs in our lab sciences. That's the medical lab, the phlebotomy, and the histology. They either maintained or increased their enrollments in their programs. And then our newest program that started 4 credit this fall brought in their maximum, which was 10. And so we're excited for that program to continue to grow as we look at the construction for this program. We expect that to double again. And so we're excited that this program, we actually had almost 30 applicants for this program, but we could only bring in 10. So we're excited to where this program is going to go and what we can do for this program with adding faculty and space and making those accommodations to bring more students in for this program. And so that's a quick update of the health sciences and where they're at. Is there any questions?
I'd like to thank Tammy. Go ahead.
Tammy, previously, at some point when I was more involved in the healthcare business, there was a waiting list for students for the ADN, particularly the ADN program. Is that still the case?
So we don't like to call it a waiting list.
Oh, sorry.
We don't want to call it a waiting list because we do try to take in as many as we can. And then what we try to do is then shift that group into the next entry. So if we have a group that is not able to come in based on, and we base that on a selection process, but we also have to base it on how many faculty we have and lab space. So sometimes those are our limiters. And so they do have to wait until the next selection process to come in. So yes, we still have students that desire to come in that we are not able to bring in. That is the case sometimes, yes. For both programs, the VN and the ADN. Is there any other questions?
of Ms.
I'd like to
Samaripa?
thank Ms. Samaripa for all the hard work. One thing to be aware of is that her department is at the top of the list with the Texas Workforce Commission on the needs of Texas. So we are foreseeing that her programs are going to grow, especially in a massage therapy, which is now being useful and being put into the hospitals and clinics and so forth. So we're looking for that program to go, but all of her programs should be growing pretty rapidly over everybody else's.
Yeah, and we've seen that, sir, in reflection of some of our enrollments have really jumped up. And so we're excited about that. We're just working really hard to accommodate as many students as we can in our health science programs, so.
And I believe you started a second cohort, did you not?
We actually did, thank you. We did. On some of our programs, because of those limitations, we are doing, instead of once a year, we're doing twice a year to bring in fall and spring. We did have to cut that back during COVID, but now we have increased it. And so in the spring, we will be starting new cohorts in histology, medical lab. We're bringing back our second cohort of ADN and those programs. So those are the ones that we're bringing in a second cohort. And so that'll be nice to have that second cohort running with the others.
Any more questions?
Thank you. Before we proceed, I would like to ask Freddie, do you check on the focus of that machine up there? I know my eyes aren't the greatest, but it seems to me like it's a little bit blurred.
Is that better?
Yeah, we'll see when they put the pictures up there. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the differential tuition proposal for massage therapy. Ms. Samarippa?
So this is a request to begin differential tuition at a different rate than what was proposed in the new program documents. So when we first proposed this program and the budget, we had proposed a $15 per credit hour differential tuition. Over the past year, as we've continued to develop this program, and then through COVID, the new development of new resources for the students that we have found to be very beneficial, we have identified that the differential tuition needs to be increased to cover those things for the student. And so after going through our administration and then going through Mr. Liberty, we've determined that the best rate for this program is at $35 per credit hour, which is consistent with some of our other health science programs, actually a little less than some of our other health science programs. And so we'd like to propose a new differential tuition from the 15 from the new program documents to 35 per credit hour.
I have two questions. Starting when?
We would be starting at the second 8 weeks of the spring.
And secondly, what, just in a summary, what resources that they would get for that extra money that's different from what we have now?
So one of the things that came out was they developed massage kits that allow the students to take their kits from class to home and home to class. And through COVID, they didn't have that option to have continue their lab studies. So they were actually delayed by extensions through COVID because with massage therapy, it is a one-on-one, hands-on program. And so they weren't able to take their tables and stuff home. And this is like a massage kit that, almost like a nursing kit that they take back and forth from class to lab. The other thing is a sanitation kit that we added. The sanitation kit is one that has all of their lotions, their oils, their disinfectant items, and those type things that they can carry back and forth with them. And then we also were able to identify an exam coach system process that allows them to practice their certification exam, and they can practice that either at home, wherever they have online access, they can practice their certification exam, and that is a new item that came out that is now available for them to be able to practice their certification exam. And that's important because we do, now that it is a 4-credit program and it is in the process of seeking accreditation, anything we can provide our students resources where it is preparing for certification exams, that is one of the outcomes that's looked at for health science programs. And so it's important for us to have those resources for the students.
Thank you.
You also have
Yes.
malpractice insurance,
Yes.
CPR training,
Yes.
and so
Ye-
forth. So
Yes.
those are additional.
Tammy?
Yes, ma'am.
Has a discussion with the current students that you have
Yes.
you had this discussion with them to see if they feel that they would be gaining anything by the additional cost?
Yes, because it's not in their differential now, they've had to pay out of pocket for it. And so they wish it was starting already. And so they unfortunately will, if they want it, would have to pay for it out of pocket. And if they're on any type of financial aid or anything like that, because it's not part of their differential tuition as of right now, then they are having to pay for it out of pocket. And this way, it would allow it for it to be included in their differential.
So that in the future, it would be included, it could be deducted from their financial aid?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because it would be part of their differential, so the financial aid would cover it. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item on agenda is the Indata Incorporated contract renewal. Dr. Welch.
Good afternoon. It's that time of the year that we have to consider the renewal of the NTI contract for its My Compass system that CTC has branded Fast Forward. The annual cost for maintenance and operations is $67,500. And that's actually, this is the second year in a row that NTI has reduced its costs. In years past, they were charging us $90,000 for the operations and maintenance. And we're actually getting an improved system, an upgraded version. Okay?
Yeah.
And what is the purpose of the Fast Forward? It's actually to serve our military and our veterans. Our military and veterans are able to upload their military transcript and receive an instant estimate of credits recommended for their military education and experience and how those credits apply towards their degree program. Okay? The service member and veterans, they can also request through the system that an academic advisor contact them to discuss their results that they have scanned in the system and, possibilities of enrollment at CTC. There's a job database that students can search for jobs within the system. It's a national job opportunity database, and they can search by field of interest and also by zip code. Okay. And then we really do need this Fast Forward system because it serves all our CTC staff worldwide. Okay. For advising, and our staff worldwide can use this to provide unofficial military evaluations for our service members and veterans. And so it's not a product that we buy here just locally to serve our students here. It's to serve our students and staff worldwide, okay? And this is kind of give you an idea of our military and veteran population. Now this data is from 2019, 2020. It's from the College Navigator. Okay, we had almost 3,400 students using post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, and we had about 7,600 students using military tuition assistance. And so that represents a population of about 11,000 students that could be served by the Fast Forward system. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Dr. Wells, please clarify, or maybe Dr. Carter. It's required in our DOD contract that we provide all of these services, and without this, we would have to put people in place to do that. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And actually, NTI's upgraded the system that you can actually build transfer credit equivalencies in the system, because that was one downside that still hadn't been developed. So they have that also, that we can actually build college transfer courses in the system. So it's a complete portfolio for the students.
And let me, one more thing on the price. Dr. Carter, did not you and Dr. Welch, I'm trying to keep it, work with NTI to get this pricing down from what it was? Is that correct?
I have to give credit to Dr. Welsh
Okay.
and Gonzalez.
Okay. But it was a lot higher, am I right?
Yes, it was $90,000 per
Okay,
year.
so-
Yeah. Dr. Carter's
Good
being
work.
modest.
Yeah, good work.
She's worked with NTI for many years.
So we'll be bringing this to you right after Thanksgiving for a vote.
Any questions of Dr. Welch? How many years have we been doing this now? With the data?
A lot. Are you talking about the entire, or just being here?
No, the contract with
The
them.
contract? I would have to go back and look, but I've been managing it for about 3 years now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Item number 8 is investment policy, board document number 337. Dr. Carter?
Good afternoon. I'm not Bob Liberty, who normally presents this item. However, he's a man of priority, and he is out with a very important family matter, so I'm stepping in for him today. This is an annual requirement of the Public Funds Investment Act that you all review annually, the college's investment policy. At this time, we have no changes, which are typically driven by the most recent legislative session or recommendations from Hilltop, our investment advisory group. And so there were no changes during the 87th legislative session, and our advisory group is not recommending any changes at this time. The document reflects a change to the date and minute order number to indicate that you all have reviewed it. So at this time, unless you have questions, we'll bring this back in 2 weeks for your approval.
Any questions to Dr. Carter? I'm glad you said there's no changes, because I read it 3 times and I couldn't figure out anything new.
I'm sorry. I should have put that in the read-ahead, sir.
Thank
But
you,
I
Dr.
did tell
Carter.
you, I'm not Bob Liberty, so I'm not as thorough, but no changes.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Item number 9 is the Coriol Central Appraisal District appointment. Mr. Anopoulos?
Yes, sir. Received a letter again from the Coriol Central Appraisal District, and as you know, we had appointed, recommended appointment for Diane Campbell to be appointed to that board, which she was. They are now asking for the votes. We have 159 votes. It's got to be in writing, so the choices are they all go to Ms. Campbell, or Jason Carruthers, Brady Diaz, Inez Faison, Andy James, or Jay Manning. You can split them however you would like to do that, or give them all to her, or give them all to somebody else. So, yes, sir.
I would say give all 159 so we could assert our influence into that, make sure she gets all those votes,
Okay.
since she's due to that board.
And if that's sort of a consensus, we'll come back on the 30th with that as a recommendation. We'll put all 30 in there so we get this off to them
We'll get to vote
immediately.
on that
Yes, sir.
this Thanksgiving. Okay.
So,
Anybody have any different opinion than
No.
that? I think it's probably the best way to do it. Just, we want to nominate her.
thank you. That's it.
All righty. The next item, number 10, is to recommend any topics for upcoming agenda items or announcements. I'll start with Ms. Coley.
I'll pass.
I have nothing.
Bill?
I'd like to see next month at the workshop, the enrollment figures for the spring term, what we've got up to date, and compare it with the last 2 previous years, so we can see what the trend is.
Okay.
And then compare the projected revenue against the budget to see if we're tracking with what we put in there for tuition, or if we're having a shortfall.
Yeah, there may be a delta there because a lot of students not going to register till January, but we can get a trend, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So you wanting that in the workshop in December? We're talking about
December.
December? Okay.
Charles? Yes, sir.
I was going to ask that we discuss and come up with some ideas and support for Mr. Hollinger in his efforts to expand the foundation as far as funds received. But I mentioned to him that I wanted to do that, and he said he had discussed it with some of you at noon today. So I'll have to leave that to Mr. Hollander there if he'd like for a discussion among us at a workshop to help him with some ideas or just let it flow till he has a chance to get back with us.
We have a foundation meeting Thursday, and that's when I'm going to get started on them. So the next workshop of ours in December will probably be a good time to start talking about it.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and anybody is welcome to attend the Foundation Board meeting. It's at noon on Thursday here in this room, so. I've got one item for consideration with our next meeting, which will be after Thanksgiving. I attended the board meeting of the Tax Reinvestment Zone number 2, and I've got a couple of things to tell you all about, but I'd rather wait till we can discuss it, and if we need to take anything back to TERS, I need you all to think about it, but I'll bring it forward so we can discuss it in open session and take a vote if we need to take a vote. So I'd like that on the agenda for the board meeting on the 30th. Yes, ma'am.
I ask your forgiveness in being a latecomer in my comments, but because our responsibility, I feel like our responsibility as a board is to look at closer at the budget, be aware of what's going on most of the time, him managing it, but us reviewing it. I'd like to suggest that beginning in January, that every month that we meet, there is an opportunity for a budget review. I don't care if we just to take a look at what programs are doing well, what programs we need to reconsider, those kind of things. But I just, having occasional or specific dates for a budget review, I think we could increase, I'd like for us to consider increasing those opportunities. I
Okay.
particularly would like to see what programs are doing well and which ones we need to probably reconsider.
I agree. The snapshot in time won't hurt anybody. Think it'll help.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, there's kind of a two-edged sword there. Number one, we can compare what we have set out in the budget and what we were going to spend and see where we are on a glide path. And that's pretty easy to do. Projecting trends on student enrollment and revenues collected, that's kind of a time and space thing. We
No.
really won't know till the end of January as to exactly
Yeah.
where that is
That's not what I'm
for
asking.
the spring semester.
That's not what I'm
Yeah.
asking. I'm asking that we, maybe January, February, if we want to wait until registration has been completed, that we take a look at our programs, see which ones are doing well.
See which ones are popular,
Yes,
right.
Yes, and which ones need to, if it's not working, oftentimes we are always looking for, to enhance the opportunities for our students. And when someone with staff comes and presents to us, almost always we are in agreement that we should do that. Well, we also need to go back at some point and say, yes, we supported you starting the program, but how's it going?
All right.
Do you only have 2 students or do you have 52? I think that's important to me.
Okay. Is that doable?
Yes, well, I mean, we do, that's what we do daily and monthly. We look at that, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. All righty, and item number 11 is announcement of the regular board meeting scheduled for Tuesday, November 30th, 2021 at 1 p.m. and the December board meeting scheduled for December the 14th, 2021. And that will be a combined meeting. We'll have a workshop at 11 o'clock and a board meeting at 1 o'clock on December the 14th. So get a double dose that day. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has an opportunity to be with their friends and family. And thank you so much for all that you've done this past year. If there's no other business, we stand adjourned.